Wonderful. Hi, welcome. I can hear feedback. May I know? I think it's okay now. So my name's Rebecca. I know there's lots of familiar faces here and familiar names, and I think some new as well. I'm based in New Westminster, close to Vancouver, and I specialise in all naturally dyed yarn. I absolutely love natural dyes. I think there's some real special magic and depth that you get from the colours. I love the fact that they're sustainable and renewable, but I really just mainly love the colours that you get from them. Fanny was just talking about the new top that I'm wearing today. And I don't know if Lois is still here. It's my miracle top. I started this 3 days ago, and I don't know why I gave myself 3 days to make a top, but I decided to, and I really didn't think it was gonna get finished, but I was able to bind it off in my knit group.
Stunning.
Thank you. And I'm really having this like pink and yellow vibe at the moment, and I really wanted to make it up, dye up some pink and yellow yarn and make a new top. So that's what I've done. It's the Scotch Broom Crop by Wool & Pine. So it's a lovely little crop top that they do. It's designed to be made in singles, and I've released a collection of 9 new colours in the singles merino, cashmere and silk blend, and this is now available in the Cape Quarters. And for those of you who don't know like what Cape Quarters means, it's basically my yarn is all available to purchase in increments of 25 grams. So you can buy exactly what you need. Like for this top, for a lot of the sizes, you only actually need 150 grams of yarn to make the top. So that means you can buy 150 grams. Like for this size, I only needed 110. So it's really great that you can just buy what you need and end up with a top. I love making tops a lot. It's generally my favorite thing to knit. And I think that's because I like wearing knitwear all year round. And it doesn't get too hot in Vancouver, you know, maybe up to 30 on really hot summer days. But otherwise, I can wear knitwear the whole time. And I really love it for that. And I wanted to talk to you a bit about like the pinks and purples. And I sort of, you know, I generally, when I make a new color collection, I usually have like a balanced color wheel, and I really enjoy doing that. But this time it kind of came out very pink and purple, because that's really what I'm vibing at the moment. And the 3 dyes that I use to sort of create all these pinks and purples are cochineal, which is an amazing, like all the bright pinks and reds and purples. I think a lot of people know about cochineal. It is an insect that's collected and ground down, and it's also used in food and drugs, and it's like a color additive. So it gets it in makeup as well. So really sort of an amazing ingredient. And like one of the, whoops, I'm just going to grab this one here. Like this one here is a lower level of cochineal by itself, and that's called like the Plum Lip. So I just use like a light amount of cochineal for this one. And then, so say when I've want a really deep color, you can add cream of tartar to cochineal to bring out like this quite shocking bright pink. And I love sort of showing off this color, just to show how vibrant and intense natural dyes can be. And it's really fun how you can get all these different colors from the same dye stuff when you're doing these different things. I use the extract of cochineal, because that means I can then make extracts in liquid and do sprinkles with it. And sprinkles is really fun. I love dyeing sprinkles. I really enjoy knitting sprinkles. The top that I have on today is being sprinkled with cochineal. So here it is in its skein form. These are all dyed in 200 gram skeins. I normally, like all my merinos, normally dyed in 300 grams. I use these in smaller ones. And this just has the cochineal with the cream of tartar to get that sort of bright pink. And then I've also got some Osage in there, which is a yellow orange to bring out like spots of some extra yellow. And it went into a wild exhaust bath first for this mild yellow. So for my main collection, I always use like the full intense recipes. I don't use exhaust baths that often. And exhaust baths is basically there's still color left in the vat once you finish dyeing. But if you want to get a consistency of color with an exhaust bath, you don't sort of get that so much. But I do like to be able to use them up and use all the color. So it's nice to sort of make sprinkles from exhaust dyes. That one. And then another one in the new collection. Again, we have the pinks from the cochineal. I've also got some of the yellow from the Osage. And again, the Osage I have as an extract is it actually comes as liquid already. The other yellows that I dye when I'm doing like solid colors is I really love using the raw material. So a lot of the yellows are from wood, and weld is a wood. Just going to see if my egg yolk is in here. I have a feeling. I'm going to show you it on the limelight because this has got some like really vibrant yellow in it. Is your yarn superwash or untreated? All the yarn I have is superwash. The pure merino is a 17 micron, so it's a really very soft wool, so it's beautiful to wear next to your skin. Like I say, I love to wear tops and accessories, and I love the soft touch that superwash brings you in that. And then some of the other sprinkles I've been doing is on an indigo base. So I dyed it with the indigo blue. And this has logwood and cochineal on as well. So we've got some nice, I really love sort of being able to have a blue sprinkle, which is quite fun there. That's those ones. And then I do a lot of like, I would call them semi-solids on the fingering, because all hand dyes, if you were in Dragon Strings earlier, she was saying, you know, hand dyes are either at the most semi-solid because we don't have the like the machines that help force the dye into the yarn essentially. So I do like a lot of semi-solids with the fingering. And then this one is, you can have a lot of fun and get a really nice variegation by dyeing your yarn in twist. So this was twisted and then laid into the dye bath dry. So then as it slowly submerges, you get this lovely sort of depth of color difference within the scheme. So Lee was just asking, Leanne, the name of the blue with the sprinkle, that's called Cotton Candy in the singles fingering. And I also have that colorway on the Silk Merino blend that came out a couple of weeks ago. And it's also called Cotton Candy. Can you use it to make the top you're wearing? Yes. So this one, this is the yarn that I used to make the top that I'm wearing today. And then this one is, it's the 75% merino. It has 15% cashmere and 10% silk. So it's obviously, as you can imagine, it's lovely and soft. And then with the silk within the singles, it gives it a bit of strength as well, which I think is really helpful for a singles yarn, especially if you're going to be wearing it for a top. Yeah, thanks. That one. Ooh. I was laughing at Amanda's behind the scenes picture before, because yeah, you just sort of start getting this yarn explosion everywhere. And this is another one of my sprinkle yarn, and this has lac and cochineal. And lac is a resin that's produced from insects. It's then collected, and the dye is extracted from it. So it's shellac that you get, and then they extract the dye from the shellac. And within here, you can, I've added iron to the lac or cream of tartar or just lac by itself. So you get all these, you know, lots of different variations. And it's that nice thing, like, you know, every time the yarn wraps around your needle, you know, you see something different, which is really, really fun for that. That's that one there. And then just to show you like how some of the colors, I'm going to grab over here. This one. Ooh. So like this is the lac in its sort of natural form. You get this really deep wine red color, magenta color. This is a color that a lot of people really love. And then when you add the cream of tartar, you get this sort of deep cherry red. So that's a nice way to sort of play with, you know, we call them shifters with the natural dyes, and it sort of changes the colors there. That's that one. Let's see. Ooh. And then I'm going to show you what else I've been making in the yarn. This is a 3-color cashmere cowl designed by Yohi Lacote. I can't pronounce her surname at the moment. And it has that, you know, the light pink. This purpley pink here is from Eastern Brazil wood. They use the heartwood of the tree, and I use chalk to shift it to this sort of purple pink color. And then we have like the sprinkle section, which has the cochineal pink, a little bit of yellow, and then the black you get from something called myrobalan, which is also from a tree, and that's normally like a buttery yellow color, it's a bit nondescript. But if you add iron to it, it pulls it black. So then you can get these like nice little black sprinkles. It's actually quite hard to get black in natural dyeing. You can do it by like dyeing yarn blue, red, and yellow, which are all, you know, expensive dyes, 3 expensive dyes, and just to get black. So I don't actually dye any yarn black. I do charcoal greys at the most, but it is quite nice to be able to do these black sprinkles with that. And of course, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat box. I'm sure you know the drill. For that, I always, you know, love answering any questions that you have and showing you any colors that you have that you're, you know, maybe you don't want to look at all the pinks and purples. So feel free to do that for sure. Ooh, I'm going to put some of these to one side. I'm just checking. And then I have one in the singles that's just even a bit more pink than the one that I've got on. This is just called Pink Sunshine. So it's got that yellow base, but it has more cochineal added in there to just pull out more pink. I'm definitely think all the spring with the pinks and yellows is some of the favorite things. And it possibly started with this top that I finished, I don't know, or started last year, which had some neon yarn from, I think it's Shirley Bryan, that I got from Bad Anna's, and then I sort of mixed it with the Showgirl pink. And I think that's what sort of really kicked it all off. I love multicolour knitting a lot. I think there's a lot of joy in changing colours as we knit, and that's, you know, one of the reasons why I sell in the smaller quantities as well. So if you have your multicolour pink and yellow, it's right. It's the best. I don't know if Lois is here, because Lois is like pink and yellow at the PJ party last night. She's like, I don't know if pink and yellow go together, and I'm like, they totally do, as long as you think they do. You know, I always think whatever colors you love to wear and whatever colors you love to put together, that's what you should be wearing, and that's what you should be creating. And I don't think there's any hard rules or right or wrong. I think if you love it, then go for it, and I'm a true believer in that. Just check I've done all the sort of silk merinos. Yeah, totally. And then if some of you saw me at, was it Knit City? I did have the new silk merino blend that I brought out as well. So it's a bit hard to see this top, I think. I have been wearing it This is another one by Wool & Pine. I just happened to make 2 of their tops, one after the other. And this is their spring sorrel. So I've worked this up in the silk merino yarn. So it's 50% silk and 50% merino. So ideal for our sort of, as our days get warmer. And again, I made sure I got some sprinkles in there. So this is what it's called Tutti Frutti. I'm very tempted to make a top in this one. And then I think I showed you, again, we've got the cotton candy on the silk merino base as well. Oops, got stuff going everywhere. And then this is a one with the indigo dyed first. So a lot of the best way to get greens from natural dyes is you dye it with the indigo first and you over dye it with yellows. And obviously the different yellows will give you different greens. And this one was over dyed with Wild, which gives you a much sort of brighter, grassier green. And there's a big sort of change of tones when the indigo was dyed. So you get all these changes of green when you over dye it. And I did actually make some little samples up in my little bunting. Oops. So you can sort of like see what the yarn looks like when it's knitted up, just to give you a bit of an idea of that. And it's always fun to make up little samples of your colours as well. So that's like the cotton candy in the silk merino. And I love making bunting. I feel like I actually want to make bunting triangles in all my colours. And then one day when we can have knit shows, I can just have like all the bunting hung up. I think that would be like really fun. So I'm going to slowly start to do that. And they're great little projects to do on Zoom knitting calls as well. I do run, I know obviously I've got some people from my meetup here. I run a community knitting meetup twice a week. And so I can't always do particularly complicated knitting through it because I'm chatting away and asking questions and encouraging you to cast on new projects. So I think my bunting would be a really sort of fun thing to be knitting during those shows or during those events. And then if anyone would like to, I'm just going to pop it in the box, sign up for the community knitting group, then feel free. It runs like twice a week, normally on the evening, Wednesday evening, and then normally a Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon. And we have people all over Canada and people from the States that come. So it's a really sort of nice way to get together and highlight of my week. Thank you, Kendra. It's nice, when we can't sort of see all our knitters like we normally do, or at the events and the new things that people are making. I always get great project ideas from knit groups and chatting about that. So that's really lovely. And then also for those of you who, oops, just trying to do copy and paste. I'm also a teacher with Bad Anna's. Again, I think a few of you sort of know that already as well. I love to teach people how to knit. I do lots of beginner knitting classes. I've been doing some next step beginner classes as well. So you sort of learn, how to make a wrist warmer or how to make a hat. And then I have all the beyond classes of brioche and colour work and mosaic knitting. And I'm always trying to get some new classes on the go. I've been running like new classes every month this year. So there's always sort of something fun for people to be doing. And I think there's sort of one spot left for this one next month. It's the brioche 2-colour reversible cable class. So I'm really looking forward to teaching this. And actually brioche is spicy, it always is, but brioche in the round is slightly less spicy than brioche flat. So it is a good one to, if you've been wanting to give brioche a go, it's a good one to sort of give it a go as well. And I'm just going to show you the reverse side there. So you've got the reversible cables. And it's knit up in the DK, which is also nice because it doesn't take quite as long to knit. Then I do most of my brioche in fingering. So then when you do it in a DK, you're like, oh yeah, okay, so it's like coming along really nicely. So some more pinks, obviously there. This is in the DK. This is one of my colours called Posey Veil. And it's got cochineal in there again, but also yellow. So it's like a pink and yellow go in the dye bath, and get this sort of really soft, dusky, I call it like a grown-up pink, I think, which is just something that I've made up. And then the red inside is that lac with the cream of tartar to pull it to the cherry red again as well. So I've got that class coming up. And also the Alaska hat. I've got 2 classes running this month, and then another one is set up for June. So the Alaska hat, it's a very sort of, I feel like it's an iconic design. It's one I've wanted to knit for a really long time. I think it's a Canadian designer, I believe. And she also has a sweater with the trees at the bottom as well, which is incredibly beautiful. So not only do you sort of get to practice and try out two-handed colourwork knitting, it's also got like the ladder back jacquard. Can you see that there? Technique at the back. And one thing that's been really nice, like it's the first time I taught it this month, that everyone were like, oh, everyone loves doing the ladder back jacquard. They think it's awesome, because clearly it is, and I think it's incredibly awesome. But people have picked it up really quite easily as well. It's a form of double knitting, essentially. And I think people have been surprised at how quickly they've been able to pick it up. So that's been really lovely to find out. So there's lots of Alaska's hats being made at the moment. This one I knitted up in the merino fingering base, which is a 2-ply. It's a nice squashy, good stretch and recovery yarn. And I did some, this design made me want to do sprinkles, essentially, because I was like, I want something sort of sprinkly to use for the sunset. So I think there's like a little bit of tiger dance left. And actually this isn't sprinkles, this is a sort of an indigo sprinkle where the yarn's like twisted up tightly and then laid in the indigo vat. And because the molecule of indigo is bigger, it doesn't penetrate through the twisted skein so much, which is why indigo works for things like shibori so well. And you can sort of get a really great, you know, different splattering, I call it splattering of indigo, depending like how you twist it up, whether you agitate the fibre in the indigo vat or not. So it's sort of quite an interesting use there. And then this is Twizzolo on the singles fingering base as well. So with the pinks and the yellows and the blacks. So like I say, lots of pinks and yellow going on. I'm just going to put this thing, silk merino here. Let's have to do this mild bit of housekeeping part way through, otherwise it gets totally out of control. There we go there. And then, you know, with all the, with being able to buy in cake quarters, you know, it really does sort of encourage you to plan out the project that you're going to make, because you can actually buy what you need for that specific project. For the tops that I've made, except this one because it's totally hot off the needles and I haven't had a chance to do anything, I do have a listing on, like I've got the knitting project part on my website that then will tell you how many cake quarters you need for the size that you want to make it a little bit easier for you to figure it out. And then if you ever need help with figuring out how many cake quarters, you can always email me. But at the bottom of the product page, like above the little colour chips, there's a little weights yardage cake quarter button that you click. And then it tells you how much meters and yards you get of that specific yarn for each, for the quantity of cake quarters that you buy, just to try and give you some help there with your purchase. So the spring sorrel details are all up, because this one I finished a couple of weeks ago. So that will just give you sort of some idea of what you can do there. And then I do, you know, I love to teach, I love to dye, of course, and I do like to do some designing and have knitting kits for you to go, you know, for you to make and choose from. This is one, I think, you know, some of you that have been at Fibre Lover Fair. Last time, I think I had this out last time. This is the Cupid shawl. And I've got the scarf and the cowl. And what I'm doing for Fibre Lover Fair this weekend is having 10% off all my knitting kits. So if there was, you know, if you wanted to try my yarn, if you didn't have a project in mind that you know what you want to make straight away, but you want to try out the yarns and feel for yourself how soft they are, the knitting kits are a really great way to do this. And I've got scarves and I have a lot of cowls. I really love cowls. So you can, I'm just going to put the code in the chat box. Make sure that's right. So yeah, so basically any of the knitting kits. So the coupon code is FLA Kit 10, and then you can get 10% off. And I have flat rate shipping for US and Canada of $8. So it'll just cost you that for that one. So if there's anything, like, do people want to see some more colors? Want to know anything about specific dyes? Want to see some more? I'm going to put in the knitting kit page actually in the link so you can take a look at the knitting kits. You know, let me know what you, there we go, what you want to see. The show is for you, you know, and I love talking about the colors and the knitting and putting colors together for you. So if there's anything there that you want to see, I love to do that. And then I'm going to show you, ooh, I normally am wearing these for the shows. I love wrist warmers. Those of you who come to my knit group, I talk about wrist warmers actually quite a lot. I like to talk about wrist warmers and length of sleeves. That's probably two of my favorite topics. And I decided, someone asked me, why don't I make tops with long sleeves, but I like wearing wrist warmers? She was confused, which I sort of understand. And I went away and pondered about this for a while because I equally agreed it didn't really make sense. And then I realized what it was. Is like, I don't like things on my elbows because my elbows are basically always bent, you know, whether I'm knitting or like on the laptop or like skeening yarn. And so I like my elbows to be free. So it's like short sleeves and wrist warmers are the way to keep my elbows free, I've discovered. So this is one of the spin you round, they're called the spin you round wrist warmers. Oh, I'm just going to get a bit closer because it's a mirror matched spiral. And I really love, you know, when you've got like mirror matched cables or just any sort of mirror matching in your knitwear design, just kind of makes me really happy. So this is one, and it's, you know, like it's a knit two together yarn over or a slip slip knit yarn over, and that's basically what gives you the spirals going around in opposite ways. So this is sort of one of the kits that I have. It's in the fingering base, and there's also a cowl. And hopefully, I know a lot of people can't understand it when I say cowl. I don't really know how to say it. Kind of like a neck warmer. So I also have one as a cowl as well in the sort of same design. And this is like a nice, easier project because you're just knitting and purling in the round. I also want to make sure that there's a range of my kits available for people of all levels. And like Amanda was saying, you know, at this time, sometimes you just want to make something really easy. And especially depending where our heads are at. So, you know, there are kits, it's like the Cupid cowl as well, is a really nice, simple one because you're just knitting and purling in the round. But then you have the color changes to sort of help give you some interest and mix it up and encourage you to keep knitting. I always find color changes, not that I need much to encourage me to keep knitting, but I do find color changes really, really help. So I'm like, oh, I just want to see that next color. And it's kind of like with sprinkles as well. It's like the color goes, you know, you've got the sprinkles coming around your needle. What was it you want to see? Was it this one, Lisa, or was it this one? Like, was it the red one or the 3-color one, I suppose? I'm just going to wait for Lisa to answer. The red. So this is in Kiss style in the fingering. I'll just type that in. And then this yarn or this colour is also available in the DK. It's called the Booberry, which is just the one that I used on the hat, the brioche hat. So there's like that if you wanted a DK or if you wanted it in the fingering rate. The fingering's a 2-ply, the DK is a 3-ply. They're exactly the same yarn, just additional ply. So the DK fingering and worsted, it's all the 17 micron pure merino, which is a super fine quality of merino. And like I said, there's lovely stretch and recovery, because I know there are concerns that superwash can stretch out, and you know, not all superwash yarns are the same, like not all yarns of any type are the same, right? And this is one of the DK basic, this is a DK yarn, and I'd just like to show, you know, how good the stretch and recovery of the base is. You know, I don't have a problem. This one I've worn, like I've washed, I've worn, I've washed, I've worn. This is one of the tops I made last year, not quite a year ago, but not far off a year ago. And I don't have any problems with the stretching out that I found myself. So that's that one there. Just gonna see. Ooh. And then last, I've got a mosaic knitting class coming up in May. And when I was developing this last year, I was like looking at all the different patterns, and I came across this slip stitch pattern. And I'm going to try and just see if you can see like the 3-dimensional quality of the bubbles. So it's a slip one, so it's mosaic, but with a slip one yarn over. And slipping with a slip one yarn over is what gives more yarn into that second colour, and then that allows it to raise up and create these sort of mini, they're not really bubbles, but they're like, it's a bit, someone said it's a bit like bubble wrap. You've got these little like puffs of colour here. So it's a fun way to do your, you know, knit with 2 colours, but only with 1 colour at a time, which is just a lot easier for people when they're, you know, getting new to colour work, or they just don't want to deal with 2 yarns at the same time. Faux baubles, absolutely. I also wish they could like pop like bubble wrap, because sometimes that would be really nice as well. It's like, but it's a great fun technique to do. So when I was, you know, because it was for like a coaster class, and when I was knitting up, I'm like, I just have to design something in there, because these little sort of texture gives me so much joy. That's with that one. And then I have some hats, some like texture hats that I have. So this is the Swoogie hat. Basically, I love texture and I love colour work, which is why I mainly specialise in semi-solids, because you can do anything with them. And then even with the sprinkles that I do, they're sort of very similar sections of the colour wheel. So you can get away with doing some texture and colour work with them as well. And then I have like the Cowy Hat that's on the website that has some lace work there. And this is in the, I mean, I don't know if people are making worsted hats at the moment or not, but they're going to be nice gifts. Also, Christmas. I don't know if it's Christmas in July. Is it Christmas in July? I think that's when, you know, but that's not for a couple of months yet. And then one of the other kits that's included for the discount this weekend is the Whispering Shawl. This is in the singles one I was showing, you know, the same one that's in my top, the merino cashmere silk blend. And this is a really popular design and kit for me. So I have this one. I've only got these are ones that are like one of a kind colors. So I have another pink. I want to show you some of like my pink purples. This is actually lac again, which is that either like that dark magenta or that deep cherry red, but this time it's got soda ash in it, and it's pulled it to this sort of straw, like raspberry red, which is really interesting. And I want to sort of play with the lac and soda ash a little bit more, actually, because doing like the one of a kind single skeins is a really nice way to try out new colors and try out the different shifters. There's so many different shifters, and they all do different things, and they behave on different yarns slightly differently as well. So you could read through the recipes, it's like it's going to give you this color, but on the yarn that you have that you're going to be dyeing with, it will react the way it's going to react. So it is really fun to do these one of a kind, and just see. And like, this is one called, I love this color, this is Venus, it's yellow, and it's very much a gold color. And then this is from the marigold, and marigold's a beautiful dye to work with because you use the petals, so you just have this smell of marigolds in your house while you're dyeing. So that's really lovely. And then this one here, again, like I'll use exhaust dyes for the single skeins as well. So this is an exhaust dye of madder and cochineal to get this sort of real coral orange. Oops, I'm going to do it on there. Coral orange look to it. So this is how all your yarn will come as well. It all comes caked, ready to knit. And I have like the commercial yarn winder, so you can see there's lots of air in. That's my air view within the cake. You know, it's not tightly wound. The integrity of the yarn is not stretched out. So, you know, I always love it if you start knitting straight away, if you're inspired when you receive the yarn, it's in a cake and it's ready to go, and you get it onto your needles. But if you don't, you know, you're not going to have a concern that the yarn is getting damaged in any way. So that's just wanting to show you what that looks like on that one as well. So just pop that in there. Oh, and then this is, I'll show you this one. So this is a very, basically the same recipe essentially as the wrist warmers that I'm wearing. This is like the indigo with the marigold, but again, with the different yarns, you always get slightly different tones of color coming through. And this is a really green gold. I call this Norse. What color is the coral? So I've just seen that. Thanks, Caroline. This is called Mercury, and it's just available on the Whispering shawl kit. And there's just one. There's just this one. Because it's, like I said, and it's a great way to use up the exhaust bath. So this isn't a repeatable color, and I just enjoy having different colors this way. That was that one. Told about North Star. And then this is a really interesting bronze. It's pretty, and I don't know how well it really shows on screens. And this was dyed with Wild, which is the yellow, and then it goes into an iron bath, and it makes an amazing bronze color. And actually, like in some of the recipes, you know, I've got lots of different recipe books, old ones and new ones and traditional recipes, and they'll say Wild, when you put it with iron, will go green. So I was like, oh, okay, go green, that'll be cool. And I got bronze. And so I was just like, oh, and this is, you know, why you find the recipes and you do all the experiments. So sometimes I'll have fun with 100 grams, of course. But what I do for my, you know, full color collection, oops, I'm just going to show you these, is I'll make lots of 10-gram mini skeins. And this is how I sort of actually develop the colors for the collections. And then I know, so this is these are my experiments from the silk merino. So not all of them came out in the first collection. I just did 9 colors, and I was really playing with getting meat. That was my big goal for this silk merino. So probably on screen, I don't know if you can even tell the difference, but like one's got 5% and one's got 3%, and you just sort of play with the different percentages until you get the color that you want. So you're obviously doing that on 10-gram mini skeins is a great way to do that. I think I was listening to a Brandon and Kathy Fassett lecture with Vogue. I don't know if it was last month or the month before. And he had a great design that was like, it's called a pencil top or something. It was all these different colors, and maybe just like 1 or 2 rows. And I wish I'd written down the actual name of the design. I've been starting to try and hunt it down since, because I think that'd be a really fun thing to do with some of the mini skeins, and maybe like take half of like the skein off of each one and knit this sort of like paint box top. So maybe one day that's the, I'll spend some time hunting it down and do that. That'll be a really fun way to use some of the colours and see them all. Let's have some water there, and then just in my theme of purples. So this is logwood, again the heartwood of the tree, and it gives you a really lovely purple. So you get great purples from logwood. So this is one of the on the fingering base here. And then also with the logwood, when this goes into an iron bath, that's how you get the grey. So or one way to get grey. There's a few different ways to get grey, but the smoxy that I have is actually from logwood and then goes through an iron bath. The same in the DK, I've got like 3 greys, and the 2 darker ones are logwood and then iron. Iron's a really interesting shifter, and it always like dulls the colours, so it's very easy to get greys from them. But like I say, on that bronze one there, that's how I got the bronze from. The yellow was with iron as well. So there's always like so many there's always so many more colors and so many different shifters and so many ways you can put them together. It's like never ending, which is what keeps it fun. Of course. I'm just going to put these to one side here. Ooh. And then just going with the greys here. So this is the this is pomegranate that goes in the iron bath. So I'll show you. Oops, I'm just going to grab my pomegranate here. So it's always important to have some nice neutrals for all your colors. This is like the pomegranate here. It's called Banana Split, and it's not actually in reference to the banana with ice cream. It's actually a pole dancing move. So all my fingering are based after my love of dancing, and it kind of made me smile that one of the moves is called Banana Split. So this is with just the pomegranate, so it gives you a really nice warm buttery yellow. But then when you put it in the iron bath, you get a warm grey on it. So this is still better. So I've got like an ice grey, which is the Silver Star, and then Silvetta, which is a warm grey. And there's like tints of greens and yellows in there, but it's the sort of grey that comes off through that. So I'm just going to get that on space there. Ooh. There. And then if you want to see some more of the tops that I've made. Ooh. And then this is I know with the Dragon Strings with fade. So this is a fade with semi-solid colours because I had a big 70s vibe going on. So it's always fun to do anything you love, right? And then that's what you can do. So this is again on the fingering base, and it's designed by she's called Knitosophy. It's the same lady that did the DK sweater that I showed you earlier. And it's fun, you know, when you have all these multicolours within a project, if you had to buy 100-gram skeins to, you know, for all the colours, it can really start adding up. And you always have like quite a lot. I call it idle stash because it's not stash that you've got projects planned for, that you know you're going to make it with. It's sort of leftover stuff. What is the name of the striped top pattern? So this is called the Deep V. deep V top. I don't know if I've spelled it. Oh, deep. I put D instead of deep. And again, I've got the link for the project page that shows you how many cake quarters you need for, and also the links to the pattern for either designer's website or the Ravelry. So there's both links in there, as the designer sells it on her own personal website too. But then it's got listed out, like, you know, how many cake quarters you need for each size, and sort of makes it a bit easier. And I love it when people, you know, if you ever want to for any project that you're doing, amazing colours in your yarn and in your tops. Thank you, Leanne. I love bright colours. Oh, if you ever want to see, you know, combinations of colours together, and obviously, you know, they're all on the screen, you can sort of click the buttons, but I love, you know, I basically do square JPEGs with like the stripes of how, you know, 3, 4, 5 colours, however many it is that you're going to be knitting with, giving you some options just to help you select your colour choice and make sure you're happy with it as best as you can be. So I love doing that, and it, you know, gives me new ideas of colour combinations that I haven't put together yet. I remember, I think I Googled, like, you know, how many two colour combinations could you get with 30 colours, and it was something ridiculous. And I was just like, well, I definitely haven't looked at all them yet. So it's always nice to see these new colours. I had someone in Vogue last week, and I put together a custom kit for her. She's like, oh, it's all right if you don't want to put this on your website as a kit. You know, I think the colours are a bit odd, and you know, I like odd colours, and other people might think they're odd. And I looked at it and I'm like, I think it's great. And it's just, if you love it, you love it. And it was a yellow and a green and an orange, and then that deep magenta Magneta. And I'm like, it's fab. And if you love it, it's fab. So it was like this red, it's like an orange red, this Dance Canyon, this one. I feel like I don't know why I haven't got my yellow here, but it's shocking. So it was like these 3 colours, and then with the yellow, the bright yellow at the end. I was just like, oh, it's great. So if you ever, you know, want to see some colours together, then totally feel free to, you can email me. There's obviously a contact form on the website, of course, so you can contact me through the website. And I'm just going to put my email address on the chat box there. Figure that out. I have a newsletter, of course. If you're, you know, you would love to sign up, there's a little birth date box in there as well, so you'll receive a gift on your birthday. And you know, I like to let you know what classes I'll be teaching coming up, whenever I have like new kits coming out, and the shows that I'll be at. Lots of texture, and I'm just reading the message from Louise. Lots of texture and beautiful colours. Oh my God, thank you, Louise. And it really is, that colour and texture is just, that's what I love. I was telling the story like a few years ago, because I'm like, I love colour. So a few years ago, I took a watercolour class, some painting. I've done a bit of painting before. I'm like, oh, I'll do a class. I think it's probably 3 or 4 years ago. Do a class. And I did it for a couple of weeks. And I was like, you know what? I love colour, but the colour has to be on Fibre. That's actually where I love the colour to be. So it's not like me to just stop doing things like that. But I was just like, there's just no point being. It's not about paint on paper. It's about the beautiful colours on the yarn, or any sort of fibre, really. What is the name and yarn for the top you're wearing? It's gorgeous. Thank you, Marie. So the name of the top is Scotch Broom. I'm just going to type this in, by Wool Pine. That one. And the colour is Tutti Frutti in the singles merino cashmere silk blend, the singles fingering. I'm going to say, I don't give my yarns any fancy names. They're just called what they're called. So it's like singles fingering, pure merino fingering. I haven't gone down calling my yarns names. Thank you, Marie. And yeah, that's the one. Oh, where is it? Oh, who knows where the yarn, where the skein is. I don't know. Oh, it's here. But yeah, here it is on the in the skein, Marie, as well. And the designers did design this design specifically for like sprinkled or hand-dyed yarn. And there's something with the, I'm just going to try and stand up, like with the long strands of like the Scotch bonnet, where you really see all the sort of like speckles coming through. It's really beautiful. And, you know, even just in stockinette, it looks quite stunning. So it's nice how you can do textures with it. Do link for the Tutti Frutti yarn, sure. Let me just bring that up now. I don't think I put, yeah, I'm just going to get the link now. And then, okay. Oops. Sorry, I'm being a bit slow. I just realized I hadn't put this link because it's only came out this week. So it's not updated on my link page. So there's Tutti Frutti, which is the yellow pink, and then there's Pink Sunshine, which is even more pink. So depending which way you want to pull it. And yeah, like if you need, you know, say if you want to make this top, we can check out how much you need. But I reckon a lot of it, like I think it was even up to like a 54-inch chest was 150 grams, which is pretty cool. Again, that's why I like making tops. You don't need as much yarn. They don't take as long to knit, which is great when you only give yourself 3 days to make something. That's why, or you know, no sleeves, short sleeves, and cropped. So I get the new tops made. And of course, if you have any other questions, please put them in. And then, yeah, like I was saying, you can sign up for my newsletter. I'm most active on Instagram. I love the visual nature of Instagram and all the inspiration. So for sure, I'd love you to follow me on there. Of course, make sure you're following Fibre Love Affair. Enter the giveaway there if you haven't yet, because we've still got lots more to be giving away over the next 2 weekends. So that's great. And then we have Bad Anna's tomorrow morning, and I'm going to be there tomorrow morning as well. So like I say, I'm a teacher for Bad Anna's. It's one of my favorite yarn stores here in Vancouver. I'm probably slightly biased as well, being one of their teachers, but I'm going to be there for the yarn tasting. And even if you haven't got yourself the yarn tasting kit, it's normally a really fun event with me and Paula. So I'm really looking forward to heading out and doing that with Paula tomorrow. And then I was thinking the bingo word. So I love how Eureka chooses words that are relevant to all the vendors. So like one of the things I like to do is I like to match my knitwear, or I don't know which one comes first, with my cowboy boots. So this is why there's a boot on my logo for WildWestDye, because I have a big love of cowboy boots. So this is the boot that matches my spring sorrel top, and boot is the bingo word for me as well. And then I have a lovely pair of cowboy boots that I'm going to be wearing with this top tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that. And then we said the newsletter and the Instagram. I was making sure there's anything else there. And of course, the meetup, everyone's always welcome. My meetup's like not connected to WildWestDye. You don't have to be knitting. The boots really are gorgeous, right? You don't have to be knitting my yarn to be joining in. It's very much the community side. We just come to knit, and we have knitters doing all sorts of things and some crocheters, but we are, we really are mainly knitters. Yeah, Andrea, I have 14 pairs of cowboy boots in most of the colors. I actually have an amazing yellow pair, not surprising, so I'll have to wear them at some point. and gold, and I haven't got an orange pair. I think that's about it, but I've got all the other colors, so I can generally find some knitwear. That's why this is one of the, I feel like this is one of the first tops I made last year in my fingering, and then I wish I only had 3. I went a bit wild one year and bought a lot of pairs, but this yellow and orange was inspired by the pair of yellow cowboy boots that I have. So I really enjoy wearing this top with my yellow cowboy boots, and it just brings me joy wearing fun, vibrant colors, and I love how it brings other people joy. What is the pattern name for the yellow orange top? So this is the velour crop by, which I hope I say right, by Andrea Mowry. Her design actually has 3 colors. It has like a single stripe going through, which is really nice, and I just did it in 2, so I can pop the link in here. And again, that has a link to the Ravelry pattern page and the designer's own website, where you can buy the pattern as well. And if you are interested in knitting it in WildWestDye yarns, it's got all the quantities that you need for whichever size that you're doing. Jackie was love your colorways and knitting with your beautiful yarn. Thank you, Jackie. That's always lovely. It's always lovely to hear. One of the things, you know, there's a lot of time goes into doing natural dyes. It takes days over the stages, and I really wanted to use luxury yarns to apply the beautiful natural dyes onto. So it's always lovely to hear that you enjoy working with the yarns as well. So thank you, Jackie. That's that. And then if there's anything else, I'm just gonna have some water. It's like a lot of talking. I'm getting dried at throat. So yeah, and I'm like, oh, just a couple more. Do you do wholesale orders? Potentially, if you'd like to get in touch with me on my email, we can definitely talk about that, because that is a great way to get my yarn out there as well, especially because virtual shows are the only way at the moment. So yeah, I'd love to hear from you, Andrea. And just show you the last few tops I've got. This is another one by Andrea Mowry. It's her stripes sweater, actually made with reasonably long sleeves, which kind of was a bit of a miracle. And these are like all the yellows that I have in the fingering collection. And that's it. I do have to force myself to knit things that aren't yellow sometimes. And then I'll just show you this one from afar. This is another one by Knitosophy. Is that the right way around? Yeah. And then this has a really fun texture. It says texture and color work cacti on, which I really love. And this is also, you know, I just love doing color works. It's really, there's like some 3 color rounds. There's 8 3-color rounds, which is very slow going. But otherwise, that's like quite a joy. And she's also done a long sleeve version now as well, if you like to have long sleeves, unlike me. So that's available there. So that's that one. Okay. And I think that's just about a wrap. I might just see if there's a few more questions. Obviously, Eureka's here to do the giveaway. Oh, I don't know if you can hear me, Eureka. Maybe. Cool. Okay, good.